Hello, everybody, and welcome to another mock draft. I'm getting messages, of course, now as we come online. You guys should message me before. Shame on you. But we are going to be doing another mock draft here, and I'm excited to have my guy Shane McCormick here to help us break it down in real time. This is going to be a half PPR draft, and so we'll be looking for those bell cow running backs and all that good stuff. But if you guys don't follow the Sports Ethos, go ahead and follow our YouTube channel here. Like and subscribe to everything so you go ahead and get notified for everything coming up. But let me go ahead and just get started here, Shane. First of all, welcome. I know you didn't make it to our kind of party there, our draft guide party. So first time being on the YouTube channel. Welcome to you. I'm excited to have you break this down for us, man.
Thanks. Good to be with everyone here. Do some drafting early in the morning on the weekend.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge we were saying we were getting on here is seeing if people are actually going to be here. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's go ahead and randomize this draft order here. 1 second. There we go. Oh, my guy Nate, who just actually messaged me and says he's going to be drafting from his phone, ends up with the first pick. Eli, myself, Defo Land, Jared, Coles, my brother, Squiffy, who's been a lot of our mock drafts there. Shane, you get number 9. And then Ryan's number 10, Draft Hustle's 11, and Phil Ossie, who's in my Dynasty League here, gets number 12. So this should be exciting. Let's go ahead and get into that draft room and see who's here. It looks like we're actually pretty good. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people showing that they're here. I'm going to assume Ryan's in. I'm going to hit up Coles and Ryan real quick. So I have a few minutes to kill here, Shane. Why don't you just walk us through, obviously, like I said, half PPR, we're looking for these bell cow, running backs, but what other kind of adjustments are you making half PPR, compared to regular full PPR, or not regular, but full PPR?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some adjustments, especially when you go get in later in the drafts. First round, I think you're still going to see those stud receivers still go. You're going to see Jefferson, you're going to see Kupp, you're going to see Chase. Probably still even Tyreek at the end. I think where it really comes more into play is kind of getting to those middle to later rounds, when in full PPR leagues, you see guys, you take a guy, let's say like Hunter Renfrow, who, on a full PPR league, if he gets you 6 catches and 60 yards, you got 12 points. Now in a half-point PPR, it's not quite as valuable. So for me, in those kind of middle to later rounds, I'll tend to, like wide receiver-wise, look for guys with a little bit better ADOT that's got bigger chances for some of those longer touchdown receptions and catches.
Yeah. So good stuff there. I mean, obviously, the biggest thing here, take away all you fantasy players out there, check your league settings. I mean, that's like rule number 1. You shouldn't be skipping over that. Know what your league settings are, know how to draft, know how to take advantage, all that good stuff. We're just going to give it a few minutes here, guys, while we kind of help people trickle in. Got a few people outstanding here. I don't want to have 4 people auto drafting, which I don't think we are. Jared is here. He's not reflecting as here, but he is here. I'm just making sure Coles and Ryan are here, and Eli hopefully will show up as well. Those are all members of our team. But once we have a little bit of confirmation there, we'll get going. So maybe just another minute or 2 here. But yeah, we've done – how many mock drafts do you think you've done this offseason so far?
Boy, I've probably done a little bit around 50, I would say. For me, I'm crazy. I love this time of year. I can never get enough mocks. I love playing with different strategies, doing different things. One of the other things I like to do with some of my long-standing leads is I'll go back and I look at past mock drafts of our leagues, and I kind of look at owner tendencies of other people in the league, and you can kind of get an idea of what selections they'll take if they're more prone to running back in the first 2 rounds, or wide receiver. And that's another thing I kind of tell people. If you've been in the same league for a while, you can get some really good owner tendencies by looking back at past drafts.
Yeah. I think people are on to me in my league because I won, pretty regularly, maybe about 6, 7 years ago. And now I think people are doing that research against me because, and I'm talking basketball, of course, but yeah, they're starting to beat me in my league that I've had for 13, 14 years. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. If someone's not here, they will be auto drafting, unfortunately, but no big deal. We want to get this thing underway. So let's go ahead and click that button here. And Nate's going to be up first. I know he is here. And he's going to start us off with pick number 1 here in our half PPR league. So we're going to get underway. You expect a run of running backs here in round 1 here, Shane?
I expect some of those, to creep in a little bit more than you see. You're going to probably see Nick Chubb, I bet, in round 1 for sure, whereas he's usually kind of been going in round 2 in PPR leagues.
Yeah.
But like I said, I still think you're going to see Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase kind of still go in that top half of this round.
Yeah, absolutely. There goes Justin Jefferson, number 1. So no surprise there, really. Eli's now on the clock. I'm not sure if he's in the draft room or not. If he's not, we got a good man to talk here. But yeah, those top wide receivers obviously still very valuable, even in a half PPR setting. So no reason for us to fade them in the first round, of course.
Yeah, this is where you probably might see, some leagues in PPR you would see Chase go to, but I think probably this is where McCaffrey would probably go most times.
Yeah, and that's probably who's going to get auto drafted here, so no worries. Hopefully Eli will go ahead and join us midway through this draft here, but 20 seconds here, and we'll see what he's got, and he will be sent to auto draft after that, so we won't have to wait around anymore. But I'm going to see who I'm eyeing here now. So obviously Jefferson came off, McCaffrey's out there, Eckler, Chase, as you mentioned. Any of those guys really makes me happy. So,
oh, come on, dude!
Love that little. So I'm between obviously Chase and Eckler here. Let's see if I go Eckler, or if I go Chase. Oh man, I like them both. I don't have a lot of Chase in my other mock, so Smart Chase.
And this is probably the other difference here is you probably won't see, we may not see, even though it's still tight end, you may see Kelsey slip down, 3-4 spots than where he usually goes.
Yeah, that's fair. Another guy I'm eyeing that you could take, I'm gonna see where they go here, but probably pretty soon is Bijan Robinson. Obviously, everyone's so high on him, and he really does look like that bell cow running back over in Atlanta. So
yeah,
got to go pretty high here, I would think.
I would think so. I mean, I've been pretty high on the guy since he was drafted. I mean, there's just a strong history. If you look at those guys drafted in the top 10, how they performed in their first year fantasy wise.
Yeah. Oh, look, my brother showed up. Look, he's right there. That's awesome. I do see Ryan here as well. So Austin Eckler comes off. That's another auto draft there. So we'll see if DFO Land will join us here momentarily. But Jared is on the clock now. I know he's in the room here, so we'll see where he goes with his pick. I think Coles is here. If Ryan's here, most likely Coles is here. So we should be good from here on out.
Yeah. So Kelsey went about still top half of that first round.
Yeah.
I took him in our last mock, and it's always tough when you see your team build, but when you go back and you look at the data, the difference he makes compared to the next tight end on a game-to-game basis is pretty big.
Yeah. There's just such a wide gap between Kelsey and, tight end 2, Mark Andrews. It's just so large that he's still going to be so valuable. I expect him obviously to go to first round, no matter what setting you're playing, unless it's like, some weird thing. All the normal settings.
Yeah. Those red zone targets he gets, it's pretty valuable.
Exactly. And how important is it? Because I've been doing a lot of best balls, obviously, with Underdog, and about probably 15 of them at this point. How important is it to get that stack with Patrick Mahomes? Because he's, Mahomes is creeping up into the second round. I mean, it feels sometimes like I'm reaching. So is it really important for me to get Mahomes to back up Kelsey, or is that not so important to you?
With those two players, it's not as big a deal. It'd be nice, but they're the top at both of their positions. So,
Yeah.
all right, and I'm up, and I got sniped. I would have definitely gone with Bijan.
Yeah. My brother grabs him at number 7.
For my choice. So for me, I'm going to go a little bit different, a little bit off of the board as far as what it says. But for me, I think this guy is going to shoot up even in a PPR league and in a half PPR league. I definitely think he's worth the pick here, and I'm going to go Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in half PPR, that's an awesome move, and I'm a little surprised that I'm a little surprised that there's not more running backs going here. But obviously Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You can't argue any of those guys. There goes Saquon Barkley, who should be valuable in this setting as well. Now the contract dispute. How worried are you about that?
So I'm a little bit worried if we get to Monday at 4:00 and there's still nothing, because that's the deadline that they have to sign to a contract this season. If he does not come to an agreement on Monday, then they can't sign anything until after the year is over.
Yeah. So there's got to be, you're going to see Saquon Barkley slip more and more in drafts if that does happen. And he could end up being a very good, Mahomes goes. After Diggs. Mahomes is an interesting pairing there.
Yeah.
Pretty early for Mahomes there.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I expect, I've been seeing him going to round 2, but in a half PPR league, a little surprised seeing him first pick.
Yeah. Right on the turn there. I guess maybe Phil did, guess or thought that maybe, he wouldn't come back to him on his next turn. So if you wanted him, that's where you grab him. I know when I play the turn, especially in basketball, it's like if there's a guy that I want in the next 24 picks, I better grab him now.
Well, and it's hard to argue that consistency. I mean, the past 6 years, he's averaged 25 plus fantasy points a game. It's such a nice high floor to have at the position.
Yeah. It looks like DFO Land did join us here. Coles is on auto, but he might have set his rankings before. I'm not sure. So hopefully we're getting filled up here. Garrett Wilson goes. All right.
Okay. So for me, there's still some wide receivers here I like more than the running backs. If it was a full PPR league, I'd probably go Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's one of my guys this year for sure. But being a half PPR league, I'm going to try to opt for the more upside with touchdowns and go with AJ Brown.
Fair enough. Squiffy is up next. So we'll see where he goes. If you guys don't already have it, the draft guide, I know Shane's done some incredible work there. Just so much good content there from you, man. I'm so appreciative of your efforts there. But head to sportsethos.com, grab that draft guide. It is $4 a month. It is absolutely ridiculously cheap. And honestly, the same quality you're going to get anywhere else. And maybe even better insights, I would think. So sportsethos.com is where you go. These guys have gotten me up to speed. I've been out of the game for half a decade at least. So they'll get you up to speed as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes right after you. So you could have grabbed him there, but you went AJ instead.
Yeah. A little surprise here. We've got a couple teams so far in round 2 without an RB1 and half PPR league.
Yeah.
Jacobs, Henry's kind of what I expected to end up happening.
Yep. And that's the guys I was eyeing. I'm looking not so good here. Need to start thinking about who I'm going to take.
And Pollard, the next one. So a little mini run on running backs here.
Yeah. And I don't think I have any shares of Pollard in any of my drafts this season. So we'll see how that goes for me.
Yeah, he should have plenty of opportunity this year. I'm not worried at all about the injury. It wasn't, an ACL tear or knee, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm just looking further down because I think I'm going to got a couple thoughts in my head here. And as is always the case with me, I have to take my time and think about it when it's my turn because I've for whatever reason. I can't think ahead. That's just what it is. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take because I'm not enamored with Brees Hall. I do like Ramondre. All right. You know what? Might as well grab him. I grabbed him.
Yeah, that was the wise call, I think. I mean,
well, my thought was going with Josh Allen, and then if some others came off, there's another couple guys down here I do like, but yeah, I think Ramondre is a good grab there.
I think there's just so much upside with him. I mean, last year when he was given 15 rushes or more, he was a top 10 running back every game. There's literally nobody behind him to threaten him with carries.
Yeah.
I expect a pretty good workload.
Yep. That's the name of the game here, guys, with workload. So getting a little thin there. I mean, nowadays in the NFL, running back by committee and sharing touches and all that good stuff. So this is an interesting format with the half PPR or even standard leagues, which we might end up doing some of those also, where you don't get a point for reception.
Mm-hmm.
Nate's drafting from his phone, I know, so hopefully he's able to grab it here in 1 second. T. Higgins, I don't know if he meant for that one, but we'll see. He does have another pick here, so I know he mentioned to me he got called in for the 6th time in a row or something like that. So good luck to you, Nate. Hopefully you're able to hide this from your boss, and if not, then you're getting auto drafted, buddy. Sorry.
And just a reminder, everyone, for the settings for this league, I believe it's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flexes, which can be running back, receiver, or tight end.
Yep. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. Looks like we're slowly rolling in as well with our viewership. So, yeah, do go to the website here, SportsEthos.com, and grab that draft guide. I am up on the clock now to back up my Ramondre Stevenson pick there. And, man, is he still there? And so I'm looking at him again. Jalen Hurts went right before me, which would have been a nice call as well. But I am still looking at Josh Allen. I mean, guy can get, yards on his legs. Just another, QB2. Really him, Hurts, and Mahomes, that's the tier. And then after that, there's the fall off. So if I want to take him, there he is. As I said before, not super into okay. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and take Josh Allen. I'm talking myself into it.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys, I've kind of changed courses. I'm kind of a big proponent now on getting one of those elite guys early. There's a difference there. I mean, he's like Mahomes, he had 10, 25 plus point games last year. Yeah. That's huge to get each week.
Yeah. It is an advantage, obviously, over any of those other QBs. So I will take it. I will take it all day. DFO land is up. He's got Eckler, Adams. We'll see where he goes with here. Goes with Etienne from Jacksonville. And we've got our guy Jared on the clock now. But yeah, do grab that draft guide, guys. SportsEthos.com. Absolutely great work. For the running backs, we have running back rankings there for half PPR as well as full PPR. We're going to be working on our full 150 half PPR rankings as well. Kind of a cheat sheet for you guys to take into your drafts. I'm actually trying to figure out how to implement little symbols so you guys can see what's a good ceiling play, what's a good floor play. Trying to do that in a smart way so you guys have that information as well. But yeah, Devonta Smith and then Brees Hall go.
Yeah, Brees is one I'm just going to probably avoid in most of my drafts this year.
Yeah,
seeing he's going in rounds 2 or 3, and I'm nervous. It's just not a good history of those guys coming off those multi-leg knee injuries that he had.
And my brother takes the tight end 2 there, Mark Andrews, which is fine. I mean, no issues there for me.
No, I think a lot of people forget about, because the way Andrews and the team last year finished that last half of the season, last 6 games, like how great he was to begin the season last year.
Yeah. Yeah. There's Najee Harris.
Probably, yeah, that's good for his RB1 to get. I'm going to take a guy here that I honestly would not have taken at this point in a draft before last night.
I
But
bet I know
I'm
who
going
it
to
is.
take Joe
Yeah.
Mixon now.
That's the guy, yeah.
As
If
a
I didn't
half
get-
PPR league, and
Yeah.
like after last night's news, he's solidified as the bell cow running back again in a great offense.
Yeah. If I didn't take Ramondre in round 2 and he would have went between me and my next pick, that's who I would have went with, honestly. And yeah, he obviously just that was the contract he agreed to a restructure of the contract, obviously. So yeah, he's locked in, wants to win a championship, he says. So looks like it's solid value there, and he should be rising in your ADPs during this offseason, absolutely.
Yeah, for you out.
Aaron Jones goes next. And there goes DK Metcalf.
And DK is a little bit, he gets a little bit bump in value in half PPR compared to PPR. I think he's going to bounce back in a major way with touchdowns this year. Last year, he was most targeted red zone on his team, but it didn't relate to touchdowns. I think he'll go back to the way he was 2 years prior and get back to double-digit touchdowns.
And I know you've probably told me this before, Shane, but what is your take on Jahmyr Gibbs there in Detroit this season? Is that a good pick there? What do you think?
I think I like him obviously a little bit more in PPR league. I keep comparing him in Montgomery to Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram on Alvin Kamara's rookie years. I think it's going to be set up to be a split that way, where there is a potential path, especially in the PPR leagues, where you could see both of those guys be top 25 guys for sure. I kind of lean towards Montgomery just because of the value you get with him, where you're taking him in drafts compared to Gibbs.
Just had to throw that up there real quick. Trey throwing some shade on me in the comments. Yeah, if you guys do have any questions, do hit us in the comments here. We are here to answer those questions for you. So hit us there. We'll go ahead and get it up for you. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in there. Not you, Trey. That's my co-host for the Chicago Bulls podcast. Yeah, good guy, but likes to be a hater. All right, so we had let's see, Gibbs, we went, and then Amari Cooper, and then Keenan Allen. I think people are sleeping a little bit on Amari Cooper this season. Seems to be, it's fair value where he's going usually.
Yeah, it's hard to make. I struggle with him, where he ended up, ranked highly last year. But, he had a stretch of when Watson took over where his finishes were not great. And so it's trying to decipher, okay, is that just the rust of Watson and he'll be back to normal self, or is that going to be more along what to expect?
Yeah. And there's Lamar Jackson. Technically the step down in tier from the top 3, but still like him this season. Rumors that they're going to open up the passing game for him a bit, let him call his plays. So what do you take on Lamar this season?
I think he bounces back. I think the change in offense is a good thing. I think you expect a bump in the passing game. It's probably the best set of weapons he's had at the wide receiver and receiving side of things since he's been there. So that's a plus. For me, for here, I'm going upside with my wide receiver too. There's some varying opinions on Ridley. I'm going to take the chance on the guy who's been a top 5 receiver before.
Yeah.
I'm not too scared of the year off.
Fair enough. Yeah. I know a lot of experts I've been listening to have had that kind of same take on him as, not scared off by that. We're going to take him as our wide receiver too. And so I think that's a good call.
Yeah. I think that team, they had a strong wide receiver room, but they made a concerted effort to make a trade for him anyways. Yeah. So.
Exactly. Exactly. I like trying to read the tea leaves there with the front office moves. It's like
Yeah.
they move mountains to get a guy there. It's pretty good indicator they're going to use him. J.K. Dobbins goes next.
Solid pick. I mean, this is one of those cases, don't look at just his finish for the year. Look at how the guy finished up the year in those last 6 games when he fully got back to 100%.
Yeah. And my brother's up now. We'll see here.
He's gone running back, tight end. So
maybe a wide receiver.
You would think this is a move for a wide receiver. This is an interesting point too, is where you have a bunch of
takes Debo. Yep.
Debo.
And Joe Burrow goes next after that. But yeah, Debo, good pick there for him, obviously. Wide receiver 1 for him.
Yeah, this round and the receivers left, it's, you kind of got some of those established veterans. It's either Debo and Hopkins and McLaurin, or if you want to take the chance on the second-year guys like London and Watson, Pittman, those type of guys.
Jared takes my preferred target here, but I didn't think he was going to make it to me anyways, and Kenneth Walker. So now I got to actually think about who I'm going to take. All right, let's see.
And really, I think you only see probably maybe one more quarterback potentially go this round or beginning of next. Probably Herbert, I was guessing.
All right, what do you think Hopkins ends up this season? Let me ask that. And do you think it's good for his fantasy value?
I think there's part of me that thinks if the Chiefs get Chris Jones' contract restructured and get him a new deal, that frees up enough cap room that they might sign him. And I think that's what Hopkins is waiting on. Otherwise, I think it's just, if that doesn't happen, he's going to choose between New England and Tennessee.
All right, it's me on the clock here. Yeah, okay. So I think I know what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to go ahead and take McLaurin as my wide receiver 2. Kittle goes next. Nate takes Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce. Watson goes next, and then it's on me again, which is good because my running backs I was looking at are still there. I think I'm going to go with Cam Akers.
Yeah. Akers is another one of those guys. He's like Dobbins. Don't look at the year stats where he ended up ranked wise. Look how he finished the year, which was strong. They were giving him a lot of touches over the final games. He's in his contract year, so I think there's a chance that he just gets a ton of workload and they use him up.
Yeah. I'm kind of ticked because Judy went right before 2, and I would have taken him wide receiver 2 over McLaurin, but it's okay. I'm right with McLaurin as well. All right, but DFO Land is back on the clock here. He's got Connor. After this round's over, we'll go ahead and take a look and see which builds we like so far in this half PPR league, Shane. But if you guys are just tuning in here, looks like we have a few more people trickling in. Go ahead and check out SportsEthos.com. That's where we are. You can find all of our work there. Very smart dudes there. Drake London, DeAndre Hopkins finally comes off there.
And I think if I'm a Hopkins owner, if he doesn't end up the Chiefs, I'm hoping probably for Tennessee. At least if Tannehill's healthy and starting, they've shown that they could produce, a top-ranked fantasy receiver when they did with A.J. Brown.
Yeah. Godwin goes next. My brother's up on the chat. I think he's saying wide receiver 8. Good dummy. He's saying Debo is going to be a RB8 at the end of the year, but I think he means wide receiver 8. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting with Debo to see. It's once they signed McCaffrey, a lot of those rush attempts kind of went away for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, Squiffy's up. He's got Najee, JK, Cooper Kupp, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Man, I like that team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ayuk is
Ayuk.
also good pick
Yeah.
there as well. And Shane, you're up.
So I'm up here. This is probably, if I'm in a full PPR league, I'd go wide receiver 3. But being half PPR, I'm probably going to tilt to running back here. I'm really down between 2 guys. It's funny. They're former teammates. For me right now, I'm just going to go with the more sure thing, Battison over Dalvin Cook. I think once again, there's going to be an abundance of touches available for him. He's not the most efficient running back. The metrics don't look great, but volume is key.
Yeah. And that should be there for us. So absolutely. So what's your favorite spot to draft from this season? I mean, obviously it might change a little bit based on the setting of the league, but do you prefer to go later in the round, early in the round, middle of the round?
I always kind of like that later in the first round. I think that opportunity to get 2, you get that even though you're at the end to get 12 and 13, those are 2 back-to-back great players you can still get.
Yeah.
So I always like those back-to-back picks also, where you can kind of do a couple different things, hedging wise with a high upside and then a high floor if you need to.
Absolutely, yeah. I tend to agree with you there. It's easier. It's easier for me also because it's like takes so many choices away from me. It's like, okay, well that guy's gone, that guy's gone, that guy's gone, and clears up the field a little bit for me. And I get a little bit more information about what people early in the draft are going to do. So,
yeah, if you look at if you're at the 1-1, yeah, you get Jefferson, but by the time he comes back around, you're kind of on to that next tier wide receivers. You're not going to get Waddle, Adams, St. Brown or Garrett Wilson, or any of those guys.
Yeah. It's about to come back to you here, Shane, but we've got a tight end, running back, and wide receiver come off the board. Draft hustles on the clock now. Okay, so we're don't want to. I'll ask you after your pick. After your pick, I'll ask you who your favorite build is here. I'll let you think about what your pick's going to be instead of making you think too hard there.
I have a pretty good thought. We'll just see if it ends up falling here.
And there goes DeAndre Swift.
Swift.
The Eagles. Yeah. And let's see. Ryan took Rashad Wright last, so we'll see who he backs that up with. And I'm feeling
I have a feeling a wide receiver 2 should be coming off here, I would imagine, if I was guessing. Yep. And Marquise Brown, that's an interesting, very high upside pick. I mean, you look at what he did in those 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins. I believe he was top 7 wide receiver last year.
Yeah.
So plenty of opportunity.
I'm taking them all over the place in best ball, so that works out for me.
For me, I'm going to take the guy who I think has got the potential this year to be in that tier of quarterbacks potentially still with Burrow and Allen. And for me, that's Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Some people have Fields over Herbert. I think it's a big bounce back season for Herbert. So many things going against him last year between the wide receiver injuries and his rib injuries. Fields
goes exactly next, so that's funny. All right, so who do you like so far? Whose build are you buying here?
I kind of like teammates build. Cup and St. Brown are great, even half PPR. Harris and Dobbins are still strong bounce back running back duo to have in there. And then you still got a high upside rushing quarterback with Fields. So that's a good team. Team 10 I like. I think Barkley and Jones are solid. Garrett Wilson, Lamar Jackson, another high upside quarterback.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook, man, he went all the way to 6'8", which is interesting. I would have taken him for sure if he was still there. Here,
yep.
He's not there, so we'll see what I go with. I like Lockett. I am, Okay. I am into Kamara, so I might go Kamara here. Looking at the wide receivers, seeing if there's anything I like more than that, and I really don't think so. I think I'll take a shot on the guy next round, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with Kamara here.
Kamara definitely. I think this week's news is a little encouraging for those that have drafted Kamara. If he would have got charged originally, it would have been at least a 6 game. I think probably there's a good chance it might go down to 4 now.
Yeah. I think at 4, I've seen some people think he's not going to get suspended at all. I don't know if I buy that, but like 2 or 4 games, I think that's pretty reasonable at this point. So,
and when you're talking, especially when you're talking like a number 3, number 4 running back, that's where you can take the chance on him.
Yeah. And that was my third one there. Okay, so we got Lockett, Goddard, Pacheco, and Pittman going.
Love the Pacheco pick there, especially in half PPR league. It's even better. And so for your number 3 running back, that's great to have.
You know what? He might make it around to me again. So let me. I don't know. No, I don't think I'm gonna go Waller here. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Deontay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are down on Deontay. I'm big on him for a bounce back year. There's going to be some positive touchdown regression for sure that is bound to happen.
Yeah, between him, Treylon. Maybe I would have went Waller there. I don't know. Like, it's hard to trust Waller. I think if you take him, you want to take him late, because then if he doesn't make it to the floor, take to the field a lot because of injuries, then it's a sunk cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble. I mean, high upside gamble for sure. I don't know if I want to do that in round 7.
James Cook is RB4. It's going to be interesting to see. In the PPR league, I like Cook a lot more. I do have concerns with touchdowns for him when they bring in Damian Harris and Latavius Murray, and they still have Josh Allen there.
My brother calls him Deontay No Hands Johnson. The drops are a concern, I suppose. There goes Evans and Kirk.
We just talked about the last 2 rounds, probably the most criminally always yearly underrated receivers, and Mike Evans and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Every year they end up, ranked, as in the season ranked pretty great for fantasy, but never talked about. David Montgomery, I love that pick here, and especially half PPR.
Yeah.
I mean, all the opportunity in, you look at Jamal Williams there last year and the touchdowns he's got, there's all that potential. And I think he's a better runner in between the 20s even than Jamal Williams.
Yeah. I agree with you there. And of course my brother took him because, the Bears. Wish him all the best there. Hopefully he does well in Detroit. I'm interested though. Speaking of my Bears, how do you break down that kind of 3-headed monster at the running back position?
It's a nightmare of avoiding.
You avoiding it, yeah. Okay.
It is. I had some shares, of Herbert in Dynasty, and I was just devastated with the offseason moves they made.
Yeah, not looking great there.
So for my pick here, I got to be honest, I am not in love with the receivers. I would have gone Montgomery even as an RB4 here just to have and play as a flex, but he was taken. So, probably at this point in time, I'm going to go with, for my wide receiver 3, at least an option, the wide receiver 1 on his team and Burks. I won't love this pick if Hopkins ends up signing there.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I like the opportunity for the influx of targets that he should have as wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I haven't seen any updates in the last couple of days. I know he was leaning toward the Patriots, and now it's kind of between the Patriots and the Titans, I think. So we'll see how that plays out. Just have to wait for him to actually sign the dotted line there. All right, right is up. Just took Hollywood Brown in the last round there. There we go. That was my guy. I wanted to see if he would come back to me. Obviously a high upside pick there, but a lot of people are just hating on the guy this season.
Yeah, it's really tough for me to figure out that Chiefs wide receiver room. I mean, Tony's got so many injury concerns, but he's by far the most talented option they have.
Yep, and that's the upside. If you would have come back to me at 8-10, I think that's the point where, I'm taking that gamble. And there goes Darren Waller there finally at the end of round 7.
And Dylan's an interesting pick. I think he's got some more value in this half PPR league, where the catches aren't as big thing that tilts it to Aaron Jones. I mean, Dylan led those teams in the red zone rushes.
I think that's Draft Hustle's QB1 there, Dak Prescott. Let's see. I think everyone has a QB except for Nate and Jared. Oh, no, my brother doesn't either. So 3 teams do not have QB yet. You're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. My brother's promising me a Jared Goff pick here, so I'm going to hold him to that. You all know, though, my QB Sleepers article, I might as well just make it free at this point, but it's I'm very high on Jared Goff this season. If you want to wait on your QB, I think he's got some upside there to finish, top 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. That's the upside, and the floor really is like 12, 13, 14, so if you got QB 12, you're losing that matchup every week, but it's not sinking you, right? So Jahan Dotson goes there. I'm not sure if that was a timeout. I think it probably was because he probably didn't want his wide receiver 4 there, but maybe it wasn't.
So for me here, I'm looking at, I probably want to pick up another running back. I'm going to go with the guy. This is more of a gut call than anything. I'm just not buying Javonte Williams being all that productive first 6 games of the year. I think it's going to take a little while for him to get back.
Yeah. I love it, man. Samaje Perine, everyone's pretty high on that guy. And if he's, ends up playing, taking a while to get back, then Perine's going to obviously be the dude there. So awesome pick. Squiffy is up. He took JSN last round. He's got my boy Justin Fields. We were liking his build there. How do you feel about that JSN pick there? Is that too early?
I think a little early for JSN. It's hard for me to see a path for him getting on the field unless there's an injury to either Metcalf or to Tyler Lockett. I mean, that team ran a lot of their personnel 2 wide receiver sets.
So Jordan Addison here was a timeout.
So, for example, if it was me and I'm going to choose between those 2 rookies, I'll take Addison, who is playing in an offense that throws the ball a ton, is going to throw it probably even more this year, and runs a lot of standard 3 wide receiver sets.
Yeah. And one of the articles we will be releasing here in the next week or 2 for all of you subscribers is implied totals. Who has the implied totals according to Vegas, and how we should read into that to see which offenses we're going to be targeting heavily. And honestly, John Marseilles already has an article out there with the 5 most potent offenses. It's going to be very similar, I'm sure. But we're going to look at the data, because that's what we do. We follow the data in fantasy. We don't play with our hearts. And so we're going to bring that to you guys. So Khalil Herbert and Charbonnet go next.
Those were probably 2 of the guys I was thinking about with Perine. Herbert, like we talked about, I really he puts up some, his efficiency and numbers, and they look great. I wasn't really sure why the Bears invested.
I was
2 more running
surprised.
backs.
Yeah. I don't know why, but obviously Dante Foreman and Rashawn Johnson joined the team there. It's going to be a bit of a 3-headed monster. I know Rashawn they're very high on, so I think as the year goes on, you're going to see him take more and more of the workload, which just doesn't look great for Khalil. But I think to start the season, I think Khalil's going to be, pretty strong there. So
Yeah.
especially in a half PPR type
And
league.
Charbonnet's an interesting pick. It's hard for me to see that the Seahawks invested a second round pick in him and they don't give him, maybe at least 40% of the carries.
All right, DFO land is up, and I'm up after that. I should probably start looking at who I'm going to pick. Let's see. I do need a tight end. Not super into any of them, though. It's hard to be super into any tight end, really.
Yeah, at this point, it's really after, in my kind of opinion, is once you get after past those top three, anywhere from 3 to 12, any of those guys could end up top 5 tight ends for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. So I'm looking at a few guys here. Let's see, I've got 3 wide receivers and 3 running backs. I could go either way. There's names I like in both. Between kind of 3 guys here. I think I'm just going to go with this Brian Johnson. And Penny goes off right after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that was an auto draft, but either way.
And once again, with the half PPR, Robinson, he gets the edge, couple round edge over in that backfield battle.
All right, so we have Pickens, Quentin Johnson come off, and we're back to me. And I'll probably take a wide receiver here. A couple guys I was looking at. Question is, who am I going to end up with? Okay, I think I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, 2 of the receivers I was hoping came back to me, Pickens and Johnston, I think are great high upside picks, especially half PPR.
Fair enough. And there goes Juju. Comes off next. Jared's up now. So who we like? Are we still liking Squiffy's team? I mean, is there anyone else that's kind of jumped out to you as good late round value here?
Let's look and see.
I'll take your time. You can definitely answer after your pick. No big deal.
I think also Draft Hustle's team is interesting because Jonathan Taylor, who, is just a year removed from being top running back, and the pretty strong wide receiver build of Lamb, Metcalf, Allen, a potential top tight end in Hawkinson. And then the depth at running back. So he's got Swift and Dillon there. Prescott's going to be interesting to see as QB1.
Yeah. And you're up. We have Ingram, Cousins, and Fairmouth go, and now you are up. Looks like we're having a little bit of a tight end semi-run here.
Yeah, and at this point for me, I'm probably I'm waiting on punting tight end. I'm waiting. There's going to be a lot of guys I think I could take later that I'm going to have for chance potential.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go wide receiver here. And for me, at this point in the draft, I'm all about usually the upside pick. So you're not going to see me take a Jacoby Myers or Adam Thielen or Alan Lazard. If it was a PPR league, maybe Elijah Moore, but I'm going to go with the upside of Zay Flowers just because of that team's going to be more passing, I think. The rest of that wide receiver room is not the picture of health, but with Odell Beckham and Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I like it, man. I was considering him also. Where I took Sutton, should have taken Zay Flowers, but it is what it is. But yeah, I like it a lot, man. Definitely do. Don't talk smack about my Alan Lazard. I got him in a dynasty. I've got all the old guys in a dynasty league, which I just got him cheap. It was an auction league, So I've got Rogers, I've got Lazard, I've got Mark Andrews, I've got just a bunch of guys there. Probably in like 3 or 4 years, I'll have nobody. So we'll see how that goes. There goes Elijah Moore next, and then Bateman comes after that.
Yeah.
And we've got the turn here with Phil Ossie on the clock. Getting down to the nitty gritty here, but yeah, obviously we're going bargain searching, going up net searching.
So what's interesting about his team? So we looked at his running backs. You've got Gibbs, Williams, and Gibson. So all three of those kind of question marks in their different ways in a half PPR league. Gibson and Gibbs aren't going to have quite the value in half PPR as they would in full. And then Javonte, the concern with how's he going to be able to start the year.
Yeah. More and more viewers trickling in. Again, appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the SportsEthos YouTube channel. Stay up to date on all the latest news. There goes Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know if I'm targeting him this season, but yeah, make sure you subscribe to SportsEthos here so you stay on top of all of our video drops. And if you do have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the comments, guys, and or girls, and we'll go ahead and answer that for you.
Yeah, that's definitely the highest I've seen Ezekiel Elliott drafted.
Yeah. He's an interesting name out there in the free agent market, but yeah, I don't know if I can go down that road.
Yeah.
Not super interested, honestly. Elijah Mitchell's interesting. Obviously, if we have a McCaffrey injury, I think if I draft McCaffrey, I do try to get him somewhere around here. But yeah, I think Elijah Mitchell is an interesting name for sure. Damian
Harris is very interesting. I mean, we're just, a year removed from, I think he had 16 touchdowns. They brought him in for a reason. So it'll be interesting to see how they utilize him in the goal line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now, and we just had a piece drop from Jason actually on our team, but yeah, now we're looking for like kind of those goal line backs, the guys that are going to get the touches, down at the goal line. And kind of steal touchdowns away from the starters. That's really kind of the value for the running backs at this point.
So here I am up. I'm probably going to go with Jamal Williams and the hope of, he gets those. He's going to be the guy on the goal line at least. Can plug and play in bye weeks.
So I've got one name circled and I'm hoping it makes it back to me. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more picks before me. Couple of other guys I'm kind of looking at. I will be quiet until that happens in case the other players are listening.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, talk to me about Anthony, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love Anthony Richardson as if you punt on quarterback and wait late to take your starter. I like the upside and go with that. I don't know if you need to take him in when you've got Burrow. If this was a league that played out, maybe knowing that if you try to trade him, but you rarely get a great value in quarterback trades in leagues. But I do think he's going to be starting week 1.
Yeah. Okay, so we had Boyd, Richardson, McKinnon. I have some Gardner Minshew in that old man league, by the way. So hopefully Richardson struggles out the gate, or he gets smashed. I mean, he is a rushing quarterback, so that could happen. So good old strong mustache Gardner Minshew is going to carry me to the championship. I've already got Aaron Rodgers, so I guess maybe I don't really need him. Who knows? Okay. We'll see what happens here. Looks like DFO is going to go with Okonkwo.
Yep. Popular sleeper tight end.
All right. There's a guy I had circled here. If he was here, I was going to grab him, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Kendry Miller from New Orleans. I'm just going to go ahead and grab him there.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see, let's just assume maybe a 4-game suspension. So there's a good chance it's a 50-50 split with Jamal Williams and Miller. start the year off. Williams maybe is the goal line guy, but the rest of the touches are split 50-50.
Yeah. Get my handcuff there for Kamara. Tua goes next.
Yeah.
Then Algier.
Tyler Algier.
Algier goes after that. I will never be able to pronounce Tua's last name. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't. I just can't get my mouth to do that. Sucks. That's like I'm trying to think if there's a few guys in basketball that are like that for me as well. I'm just like, no, just not going to even try. Got to go with the nickname.
And I think, if you're playing out a regular league, like if you're the Bijan owner, make it a priority to grab Algier in round 10. Even if you have to reach a round earlier in round 9 for him, it's worth it. The way he produced last year.
He's still sitting out there. I'm considering some Dalton Schultz here. Considering it. But what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna keep bolstering my running back room here in half PPR. And I really do think I'm gonna go with Devin Singletary. I really do think Singletary is gonna take obviously the late down work there from Dameon Pierce. And I think he could even lose some early down work as well. Dameon Pierce actually one of the worst run blocking running backs in the league last season. And Singletary was 6th overall. So it could happen there where, he outsnaps Dameon Pierce at some point. But yeah, I think he's a real threat there. And they also have a league leading 15 games on turf. I don't know if you guys saw our piece out there from Nathan about turf versus grass. Obviously, turf leads to a lot of injuries. I'm not hoping Dameon Pierce gets injured, but there is a slightly increased likelihood that happens. So don't want that to happen, but we'll see.
Well, let's not overlook, who the head coach there is. Ryan's now coming from San Francisco, where they like to utilize multiple backs.
Yeah. So going to go that way. And I think DFL might have checked out on us there. So he's auto now. Yep, there he is. Dalton Schultz goes there, which I think, at this point, I mean, if he's still sitting out there and you have no tight end.
Yeah. That would have been my pick this round, just because you can make a case he's going to be the most targeted receiving option there in Houston this year.
Yeah.
With the rookie quarterback, the safety valve.
Donta Foreman goes next to Jared, and then we've got Lazard coming off the board there to our auto and Coles. And my brother's back on the clock there. He took Kirk Cousins, not Jared Goff. What is wrong with you?
Maybe he was watching the quarterback's Netflix show. Got enamored with Cousins and all the TV time he's getting.
I've only seen snippets from that, but I do love they've got a Kirk Cousins snippet where he threw the ball, got absolutely smashed. I can't remember who smashed him, but then he's like, "Did we score? Did we score?" They're like, "No, we're at the 10-yard line." And so he hops right up after that. He's like, "Oh, gotta go score now." Like, it's just incredible how tough these guys are. He's like, "I just got the wind knocked out of me. Nico Collins goes next. That is on my Netflix queue, though. I should probably check that out this weekend.
Yeah, I've got it on there too to start. So Schultz would have been my pick coming up, but he's gone. I'm going to wait another round. Like I said before, I'm all about upside picks at this point in the draft.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go take Bigsby.
I like it. Yeah.
I think he was brought in to the draft at least to be a better goal line option than ETN was, who really struggled last year from inside the 5. So
Dulcich, I know people are pretty high on him. I've seen across the fantasy landscape. I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there's some people that are kind of singing his praises as a late guy to grab from the tight end spot.
Roshan, there's the Bears. I don't know what you think, Keith. For me in drafts, I'm kind of drafting Johnson over Foreman.
Yeah, I am for sure. I think eventually, like I said, I think it's one of those draft picks. It's a draft and stash. You sit on it, and then maybe week 5, 6, 7, 8. That's when you kind of see that return there. Hopefully,
yeah.
And if you don't see a return by week 5, then or 6 or 7, then you drop them. Ford, Komet, Mingo. Those are all nice. I like those. At this point in the draft, obviously, we're in round 12. And you're going to be up next. So here's to see what Mr. Shane does here. I like that Take Big Z pick. By the way, if you guys don't know, we do have a sleeper show coming up tomorrow night. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. John Marcels is going to join me to talk about sleepers. The sleepers are actually going to be from our entire team. All people that came on the Draft Guide show gave me a sleeper. We're going to talk about each of those guys and maybe throw out a few extra ones that we haven't released yet. So make sure you, again, subscribe to the YouTube page and go like that video. And we'll be on tomorrow night. There goes Mostert.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to finally pull the plug here on tight end, and I know what the data says. There's not a strong history of rookie tight ends performing well, but I just think they spent a high draft capital on a position. I think they're going to line Kincaid up in the slot almost every time he's on the field. I think they're looking maybe for him to be that second receiving option, more consistent receiving option on the team.
Yeah, at this point, I'm streaming tight ends. Nothing out there is really screaming that I have to grab them. There's a few guys I do like there, but I probably don't need to take them now.
At this point, you could even last round if you wanted to, or it will not surprise me if Taysom Hill starts popping up some games even in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think they're going to utilize him more receiving this year than they ever have before, since they brought in Jamal Williams to kind of maybe handle more of that goal line work.
Yeah. I might give a nod here to our resident defensive specialist here and take a defense because it is my turn here. Laporta goes, that was one of the guys I would have probably taken, maybe not this round, but next round or round 14 maybe. But I do think Laporta is an interesting guy out there. I'm just not, nothing's screaming to me that I have to pick him up. So I'm gonna go the route of my my guy there, Arnold, and I'll go ahead and take the first defense here in round 12. I'll lock it in.
Rondell Moore is going to be an interesting case too. He had some great games last year. He's going to be the number 2 receiving option for sure on that team. And I don't know, maybe Kyler comes back sometime in September. There's some recent reports that looks like it may be sooner than later.
There goes my heartthrob, Jared Goff. Absolutely love that pick, obviously. He's got Deshaun Watson and Goff. I think that's a solid duo if you don't take an early quarterback for sure.
You can make a case there's going to be some weeks even at the start of the year where he may start Goff over Watson if Goff's at home indoors.
Yeah. Yep, and I need to go wide receiver here. There are a couple guys that I do like. I think I'm just going to be boring, though, and go to the top of the list because I do like this guy this season for sure, Sky Moore.
Yeah, I think he's back-to-back, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's got the advantage there just because he's known the offense now a full year.
Yeah. Daniel Jones there. I don't know. Is that his first QB? Yep, first QB is Daniel Jones. I know Coles is high on him. Yeah. Being able to rush. I don't know. It'll be fine, I think.
It's interesting. It's probably, if you're looking at your first quarterback, do you go Daniel Jones and that upside with the rushing or kind of a maybe safer, higher floor with Geno Smith?
Yeah. And I think at this point, you're around 13. I think it's smart to upside, honestly. I mean, if it's not
pretty
working
good
out,
for waiting to the 13th round for your first quarterback, that's still pretty good value.
Yeah, I've got Josh Allen. I don't really need to draft a backup. I don't feel probably won't.
Yeah. If it's me, if I've got a top quarterback, these last picks in rounds 14, 15, I'd much rather take the upside shots on guys.
Yeah. And obviously, there's a lot to shake out still at this point, training camps and all that. So we'll have more information here in a month or so.
Come on.
All right, Squiffy's going to end up with Geno Smith. There you go. Yeah. And I think that's his QB2 behind Justin Fields.
I'm going to go look here probably at receiver. If I was in a PPR league, this is where I would probably look at guys like, maybe a Hunter Renfro or anything. But I'm going to go with a guy who I've kind of been high on all offseason, and Shaheed in New Orleans. Count me in as one of those that does not expect Michael Thomas maybe to play more than 6 games max. He's got a much better quarterback upgrade with Carr this year and really performed great the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. Love it, man. I'm looking at who's still here. There's some interesting dart throws at this point. That's all it really is.
First kicker goes off the board.
There you go. We do need one in this league, so lock in Tucker. Go for it. I was considering that with Wandale. I think you're talking about the Giants wide receiver room. It is a mess. But Wandale, I think, has that advantage of line up in the slot for him. But what say you?
So it's interesting because I was looking at Wandale. What's hard for me to understand is in most leagues you're seeing like Jalen Hyatt go above. Actually, the guy I was considering, Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah.
But you're seeing Hyatt go a lot of times before Robinson and Hodgins.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hard to ignore what Hodgins did in that playoff game versus Minnesota. I mean, I think he went like 8 for 110 and touchdown.
We're getting froggy here. Our second kicker's come off the board. Getting froggy. I like it. Hey, man, they score points.
So for me here, I'm going to pretend like this is a normal league I'm going to play out. So I'm protecting my invested a little bit, going with Chase Brown, backup Mixon.
Yeah.
Rookie out of Illinois.
Starting to get some auto draft defenses there. Dolphins are going to have a much improved defense this season. I know we're all on top of that.
For sure. I mean, the personnel they brought in, then coaching-wise also.
So I've got one guy I'm eyeing here. Let's see if he makes it around to me. I've got 5 running backs, 4 wide receivers. Not going to draft a backup QB. I've got my defense already there. On my tight end, I'm probably going to draft somebody in the last round and then just stream another one or, whatever it is. I mean, I'm just punting at this point. There's nothing I can do that's going to change the game for me.
Yeah. I think there's some interesting wide receivers still.
Yeah, I'm eyeing a wide receiver. That's kind of what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, there's a couple names that are just still intriguing to me. They're going to be here in the last 2 rounds, round and a half.
Yeah, let's see what DFO goes with. Looks at 4 seconds here. I'm just waiting to click the buttons. What did you go with here? Let's see. Oh, the Bills defense. Okay. So yeah, there's a couple of guys definitely. I'm going to go with one. I'll curious to get your take on them, but Tim Patrick, Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it's funny that last offseason in camps, every beat writer for the Broncos was talking about Patrick and how he was being targeted and catching everything, and really the strongest connection with Russell Wilson. And then he had the devastating injury before the season even started.
Yep. So I'd be curious to see how that all unfolds here. Obviously, coming back from that injury, and I think there's upside there. So hopefully that works out for me. And I'm gonna go with and again, guys, sleepers. This is exactly where we're taking these guys. Sleepers show tomorrow night. Do tune back in, subscribe to the channel so you get notified for that. Higbee came off the board. I'm just going to take a tight end. I don't think I have to, but a couple guys I'm looking at here. I like Likely, and I like Gesicki. but I think I'm going to go with likely. Maybe Mark Andrews gets injured. Maybe they do some two tight end stuff there. So yeah, I like likely.
Yeah, when Andrews missed time, I mean, he produced, and like you said, they will run 2 tight end sets for sure.
Yeah. DFO's up here, and then we're gonna be take this thing home. We only got about 6-7 more picks here, but guys, thank you for joining us. Do make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you get notified every time we go live. My brother's still commenting here. Juwan, show me them TDs, Johnson. Okay. Good job there, my friend. But yeah, tune in tomorrow for that sleeper pick. SportsEthos.com is where you find all the work there. Draft guide there as well. Again, just super duper ridiculously cheap. $4 a month for that. And then if you want to get the All Sport Pass, which gives you access to the baseball and basketball and hockey content as well, that's going to give you guys $7 a month. So again, just so much cheaper to even just go to that next tier and get everything. There's a run on kickers. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
And I'm a sicko. Like on a weekly basis when the season starts, I love looking at kicker rankings and ranking kickers and looking at matchups. I mean, I love it.
We've got a real kicker run here. Wow, look at that. Everyone wants a kicker solidified.
So I said there's some receivers here that I still liked.
Yeah.
This guy's only a year removed from being a productive wide receiver, number 2 receiver on the Rams. Stafford back healthy. I think he could have some decent games.
All right, when we're all done here, Shane, I'm going to have you just rank your top 3. And you can include your team in there if you want. You can put your team number 1 if you want. I don't really care. But yeah, let's have you rank your top 3 teams here. My brother's asking how did I do, so let's give him a little bit of love here and tell him he sucks. But yeah, who's your top 3 out of what's transpired here?
I'm probably looking here. Let me look here. Team 8, I'd still say, is one of the top 3 with those starting receivers, Harris and Dobbins, and then you get Fields at the running back is strong, for sure.
Very strong start. Yeah, I agree there.
Boy, I love 11's build. If Dak can be a high floor quarterback, I don't know. If I was team 11, I probably maybe would have tried to pull the draft pick of like a Herbert or Fields or Lawrence in round 6. That team would have been probably 1 or 2 given its build. If you had Taylor and so those 2.
Who's your 3rd one? Let's make it not you to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, we know you've got the best one, so we'll just go ahead and say the next 3 past you.
I'm kind of. Let me look who's quarterback. Yeah, it's not. I think this might be your brother's team. I'm kind of a fan of Team 7.
Oh, there you go.
I love Robinson Jacobs build. I'm going to assume Jacobs is going to be there week 1. Andrews at tight end. Montgomery as a RB3 and a flex is real strong in this league.
That's true.
And Cousins is underrated quarterback option when you look at that offense, the amount that they pass and the pass volume.
Yeah. And I think I think on my QB sleepers list, he's number 1. And that's because he has the highest floor. Like he's not going to see you. It's just not going to happen. I think one concern you may have is that if the Vikings have some regression in that win total because of, they won so many 1-score games last season and, they start off like, I don't know, 2-6 or something. Is that a point where they consider shutting Kirk Cousins down? I mean, is that something you think that you could see them doing?
I don't think so. I think, I think they'll play him. I don't think so. I don't think in that division that team is going to get off to that bad of a start. I think they're going to be competitive all year round. And I think they even got better at the receiving core. If you look at this year, they get a full year of having Hawkinson on the team. I think it's a major upgrade with Jordan Addison over over Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a major upgrade. And they lost Dalvin Cook. So I think that's another receiving option. Dump off passes that's going to be more, maybe looking more at the receivers and tight ends. I think this team passes more for sure than they did last year. So
yeah, which is crazy to me because he actually Kirk Cousins had his highest pass attempts of his career last season, and it was by a wide margin. So if they pass even more, I'm curious to see what happens there. That's why I'm on the Kirk Cousins over for his passing yards.
Yeah,
we'll see how that works out for me. But it's that number, which I think you can find on DraftKings. I think it's like 4,300, but it is just too low if we're reading all these tea leaves correctly, which you never know in football. Obviously, it could be way off, but I'm with you there, Shane. I think that's going to be the case there. So. Again, thank you, Shane, for joining us here. Follow Shane on Twitter. That's his handle right there. Follow me on Twitter. That's my handle right here. Make sure you guys follow at Ethos Fantasy FB, at Ethos Fantasy FB for football. And we'll get all your news there. But again, check out the draft guide. We will do this every Saturday up until the season. And we're probably going to do some mini ones like leading up into the real heavy season there, like maybe once a day, just like the first 6-7 rounds, just some short ones there. So do tune in for those as well. But do follow us, guys, and we will catch you next time.
All right.